Good morning, dear students. Myself Abdul Qayyum Jamadar. Today we will discuss on human reproduction, the third topic in second year biology. Okay, in that we will discuss about gametogenesis. Okay, so gametogenesis means it is a process of formation of gametes within their gonads. Okay, so gonads are also called as primary sex organs. Okay, and these gametes, in case of human beings, there are sperms in males and egg or ovum in case of females. Like that, these primary sex organs, in case of male it is testis, and in case of female it is ovary. So basically it is a formation of gametes, either sperm or egg within their gonad, either testis or ovary. Okay, so based on that there are two type of gametogenesis. One is spermatogenesis and other one is oogenesis. So what is spermatogenesis? Simple. It is a process of formation. It is a process of formation of haploid sperm within its or within testis. Okay, remember these gametes are haploid in condition. Okay, so haploid means half number of chromosomes which are present in the total body set. Okay, say for example, if a human being contains 46 chromosomes in a particular cells, so in gametes it contains 23 chromosomes. It is called haploid conditions. Okay, so spermatogenesis is formation of haploid sperms within their testis. Okay, now oogenesis, same, the process of formation of haploid ovum or egg within ovary. Within what? Ovary. Because these gametes, they should these gametes should be formed within their gonads. Okay, so today I will discuss about spermatogenesis as well as oogenesis. Not only the theory level, also we will explain it NEET or KCET level. Okay. So spermatogenesis. So what is that? The process of formation of haploid sperms within their gonad called testis. Okay, if you look the morphology of testis, it is of about 2 to 3 centimeter in length and 3 to 4 centimeter in This is width of the testis and this is the length of the testis. If you cross section the testis, you will observe many small compartments. Observe many small compartments. Those compartments are called testicular lobules. Those compartments are called testicular lobules. Around 200 to 250 testicular lobules are present in each testis. Okay, if you focus on particularly each testicular lobule, you will find there are tube-like structures around 2 to 3 tube-like structures which are present in each testicular lobule that are called seminiferous tubules. Okay, so just observe the seminiferous tubules, how they looks like. So they are the tiny small tube-like structures. If you just focus on this area, it will look like this. So the actual process of this spermatogenesis is take place in these seminiferous tubules. Okay, so these seminiferous tubules contains number of cells. So these are germinal epithelial cells. These are the Sertoli cells, and within there are number of oval cells are present. These oval cells are called germ cells, remember, and there are different germ cells are present. Spermatogonia, then primary spermatocyte, then secondary spermatocyte, spermatids, and lastly sperms or spermatozoa. Okay, so these are the germ cells, the different type of germ cells. Okay, so this is the internal structure or internal cells of the particular seminiferous tubules. Outside the seminiferous tubules, in a particular area, there are group of cells. Those cells are called Leydig cell. Okay, so this area is called interstitial space. This is called interstitial space, and the cells which are present in interstitial space are called interstitial cells. Okay, so Leydig cells, there is another name of Leydig cells is called interstitial cells. These cells are very important in the process of spermatogenesis, because the stages of these particular cells is nothing but a spermatogenesis process, which is also governed or nourished by Sertoli cells. Okay, so by the diagrammatic representation, you see how the spermatogenesis process works. Spermatogenesis. When a boy attains a puberty stage, so there is a fluctuations or there is a increase in the releases of some hormones which starts the spermatogenesis process. Consider this is germinal epithelial cells which I have shown you in a particular seminiferous tubules. Consider this. Okay, so this is germinal epithelial cells. Okay, what happens at puberty? These germinal epithelial cells divides mitotically and produces diploid number of immature germ cells. Those are called spermatogonia. Okay, so these immature germ cells later on they develop or transfers into sperms or spermatozoa. Okay, so this entire process of spermatogenesis is divided into 3 phases. One is phase of multiplication, then second phase of growth, then third phase of maturation. Okay, so what happens in the multiplication phase? These germinal epithelial cells divides into number of spermatogonia by the process called mitosis. And again these spermatogonia also divides by mitosis into further more spermatogonia cells. So this phase is a multiplication phase where there is an increase in the number of spermatogonia cells in each testis. Okay, so this gives a multiplication of these spermatogonia. Remember, the spermatogonia is in diploid condition. It contains 46 number of chromosomes. So this is called phase of multiplication. Now after that, some of these spermatogonia cells, they attained a growth stage, increases its size. Okay, at this stage, this is phase of growth. At this stage they become or they are called as primary spermatocyte, because they take the nutrition from the Sertoli cells. They took the nutrition from the Sertoli cells and they attained the growth stage. This phase is called phase of growth, and now they are called primary spermatocyte, which are diploid in number. Okay, next, this primary spermatocyte, now it enters into meiosis. Okay, remember, meiosis is a type of cell division in which a diploid cell forms haploid cells. Now the gametes are in this condition, they are haploid, so definitely there should be a meiosis. The primary spermatocyte enters into meiosis, meiosis 1, first meiosis, prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1, telophase 1, and during the prophase 1, liptotin, zygotin, pachytin, diplotin and dikinesis. After all these processes, in that processes, the crossing over, genetic recombination, chiasmata formation, after that they divide into two haploid cells. Those are called as secondary spermatocytes. Each primary spermatocyte give rise to two secondary spermatocytes, but these are in haploid numbers because the number of chromosomes are equally divided. So after meiosis 1, these two haploid secondary spermatocyte again enters into one more meiosis, the second meiosis, and produces 4. Each secondary spermatocyte give rise to 2 haploid cells. That means 2 secondary spermatocyte give rise to 4 haploid cells. Those haploid cells are called spermatids. So from primary spermatocyte to spermatids, this is called phase of maturation. Remember, phase of maturation. Now what happens after spermatids formation? Remember, if each secondary spermatocyte contains 23 number of chromosomes, these spermatids are also contains 23 number of chromosomes. So what happens here, if you consider these a pair of 46 chromosome, this pair will come here, means this 23 number of chromosomes come here, and this 23 number of chromosomes will go into the next secondary spermatocytes. When they divide, they exact the centromere of the chromosome cuts, and half of these chromosomes will be here and half of the chromosomes will be on another cell. Remember, the first meiosis is called reductional division, the second meiosis is called equational division. So there is no separation of chromosome, but the chromosomes were cut and distributed equally. That is why you in each cell, in each spermatids, you will get 23 number of chromosomes. Okay. Then the next important process, that these spermatids, they transfers physiologically into elongated sperms. They transfers into an elongated cells. These are called sperms. And the transformation of spermatids to sperm, remember, these are non-functional, non-motile and does not capable to penetrate inside the egg cell. So they have to transfer into cells which is motile and capable to transfer its genetic material, nucleus, into egg cell. That is why these spermatids transfers into sperm, and that process is called spermiogenesis. That process is called spermiogenesis. Okay. Then next, after this formation of sperms, these sperms are attached to the Sertoli cells. These sperms are attached to the Sertoli cells. After formation of complete sperms, these sperm detaches from the Sertoli cells and enters into the lumen part of seminiferous tubules. The central part is called lumen part. They detach from the Sertoli cell. This detachment process is called spermiation. This detachment process is called a spermiation. Remember, so these spermatids were transferred into a motile cell that is called sperm by the process called spermiogenesis, and detachment of that sperm from the Sertoli cell and enters into the lumen of seminiferous tubule is called spermiation. Remember, so there are three definitions you have to remember. One is spermatogenesis, one is spermiogenesis, one is spermiation. Okay, so this is a graphical representation of a spermatogenesis. Okay, so this spermatogenesis starts at the period of a puberty. Okay, there is a hormonal fluctuations. So this entire process is regulated by hormones. What are the hormones which regulates this spermatogenesis process? Remember, GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormones. Next, gonadotropins. Two gonadotropins are there. One is FSH, other one is LH. Next hormone which influences this is testosterone hormone. This is called male androgen. These are the hormones which are responsible for the regulation of this spermatogenesis at the time of puberty. How they will responsible for this regulation, I will tell you that. At the time of puberty, the Sertoli cells as well as these germ cells will give the signals to the hypothalamus. These testicular cells gives the signal to the hypothalamus. In the response of that signal, the hypothalamus releases GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormones. Remember, this gonadotropin releasing hormones comes under releasing hormone category. As you know that hypothalamus secretes only two type of hormones. One is releasing hormone and another one is inhibiting hormones. So gonadotropin releasing hormones means it triggers, this hormone triggers adenohypophysis. Adenohypophysis means anterior pituitary gland. So pituitary gland is the first anterior part. Anterior pituitary is also called as adenohypophysis. So this GnRH will stimulate the adenohypophysis or anterior pituitary. In the response of that, in the response of gonadotropin releasing hormone, it produces gonadotrophins. The gonadotrophins are two. One is FSH and other N is LH. So FSH means follicle stimulating hormones, luteinizing hormones. Okay, so these are the two gonadotropin hormones which is released from anterior pituitary. Next, luteinizing hormones. This triggers a group of cells which is present in the interstitial space, that is called Leydig cells. Remember, this is very important. Luteinizing hormone stimulates the Leydig cells. Then and only then the Leydig cell produces male androgen hormone, that is testosterone. That is what? Testosterone. So luteinizing hormone stimulating the Leydig cells. Leydig cells are also called as interstitial cells. These interstitial cells are stimulating by one particular hormone. This is called interstitial stimulating hormone. This is also known as this luteinizing hormone in case of males. In case of males, it is also known as interstitial stimulating hormone because it stimulates the interstitial cell, aka Leydig cell, to produces testosterone. So now testosterone, a male androgen, this helps in spermatogenesis process up to the formation of spermatogonia to spermatids. It initiates the spermatogenesis process. This testosterone helps in the spermatogenesis process from spermatogonia to spermatids. Next, luteinizing this follicular stimulating hormone, they triggers Sertoli cells. They triggers the Sertoli cells, and Sertoli cells produces some factors. That factors helps in the spermiogenesis process along with the FSH. Spermiogenesis means transformation of spermatids to sperms. Remember, so testosterone helps in the spermatogenesis process, the formation of spermatogonia to spermatids, and FSH along with the Sertoli cells factor, it influences or stimulates the spermiogenesis process. So this is the whole picture of spermatogenesis process. Okay, then the next second gametogenesis is oogenesis. Second gametogenesis is oogenesis. Remember, so this oogenesis is completely different than spermatogenesis. All the processes is same, but initiation and termination of this spermatogenesis is totally different. Remember, the spermatogenesis which starts at puberty and ends up to the formation of sperms, this take around 64 days. But the oogenesis, it starts in embryonic period. Remember, it starts in embryonic period. Okay, and it only completes after fertilization. So it is totally different from spermatogenesis process, but the common thing is in oogenesis also meiosis take place like in the spermatogenesis. There are also phase of multiplication, phase of growth, and phase of maturations are present. Okay, so the second gametogenesis in human beings, that is oogenesis, we will discuss. Oogenesis, the process of formation of ovum, haploid ovum or egg within ovary. Okay, as you know that a female contains a pair of ovaries. So this ovary is also lined by germinal epithelial cells. This ovary is lined by germinal epithelial cells. Below the germinal epithelial cells, this entire area is called stroma region. This is one more type of tissues, that is called stroma, and this stroma is divided into two parts. This part of stroma, which is present at peripheral region, this is called cortex. Okay, and this part at the middle part of this ovary, this is called medulla region. So outer cortex and inner medulla. The stroma is divided into these two parts. Okay, and in the cortex region, there are number of cells are present. The number of cells are present. These cells are called ovarian follicles. These cells are called ovarian follicles. Remember, like primordial follicle, primary follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle and Graafian follicle. Few more cells are also present in this cortex region. This is corpus luteum and this is corpus albicans. Remember, so these are the follicles which are present in a ovary. So oogenesis process will take place inside these follicles. Okay, so how this ovum develops by stage, like that these surrounding follicles also transfers itself into next levels. So in ovary, follicular or folliculogenesis as well as oogenesis, it take place simultaneously together. Remember, because outside when the follicles were developed from primordial to primary follicle, primary to secondary follicle, secondary to tertiary follicle and tertiary to Graafian follicle, like that the oogenesis also develops inside, like oogonia to primary oocyte. I will explain here with the same type of representation. This is germinal epithelial cells. This is germinal epithelial cells. Remember, okay, this germinal epithelial cells divides mitotically and produces a diploid cell that is called oogonia. Okay, oogonia. So this process starts at embryonic period. Remember, this process starts at a embryonic period at the third month, from the third month of pregnancy. From the third month of pregnancy, the oogenesis process starts. Okay, so in that oogenesis, the first phase in oogenesis is phase of multiplication. Same, second phase is phase of growth, and third phase is phase of maturation. So same, these three phases are present like that in spermatogenesis. So what happens at this third month of pregnancy? The germinal epithelial cells divide mitotically and produces a more number of oogonia cells. Okay, so it start producing oogonia cells. Okay, so when a child take birth, a female child take birth, there is no production of, remember, there is no production of oogonia. The oogonia only produces at the time of embryonic development. No further production of oogonia take place after birth. Okay, so this first multiplication phase, the phase of multiplication is only take place at a embryonic period. Nearly 1 to 3 million oogonia produces during a pregnancy period. No further oogonia is added up after birth. Okay. Next, this oogonia attains a growth stage. This oogonia attains a growth stage. This is called phase of growth, and this will become primary oocyte, which is diploid in number. Okay, so this oogonia is surrounded by number of cells. Number of cells. Now, this cell along with this oogonia, it is called primordial follicle. It is called primordial follicle. When this oogonia attains a growth stage, these cells outside, it increases its area, it increases its number. These cells are called granulosa cells. These cells are called granulosa cells. So, the granulosa cells are surrounded by this oogonia which attains a growth stage. Now, it is called primary oocyte, and this follicle is called primary follicle. Now, this follicle is called a primary follicle. So, primary follicle contains granulosa cells surrounding, and inside that primary oocyte. So, this is primary follicle. Primary follicle contains granulosa cells and primary oocytes. Now, this primary oocyte, like in spermatogenesis, it attains meiosis. It enters into meiosis, but did not complete the meiosis first. It arrests at prophase 1. Okay, arrest at prophase 1. By this time, the pasteurization take place. Pasteurization means childbirth take place. So it stops at prophase 1. About millions of these oogonia were transferred into primary oocyte, which is surrounded by granulosa cells, means it is in a primary follicle. This primary oocyte arrested at prophase 1. Now the delivery or childbirth take place. After that, the childhood period, from that onwards to puberty, from that onwards to puberty, there is no further processes or further any changes take place except cell death, what called programmed cell death, PCD. Okay, so what happens in that? These 1 to 3 billion oogonia cells were dies by atresia. This is called atresia. Follicular death or programmed cell death of follicles are called atresia. Only 60 to 80,000 these primary follicles remains in each ovary. Okay, when the female gets puberty stage, remember there is a fluctuation of hormones. Okay, so by that fluctuation of hormones, the prophase completes and prophase starts. Okay, so meanwhile this granulosa cell increases its thickness, okay, and a few more new cells were produced during this age. During this time, this hormonal fluctuation, few more number of cells were produced. The cell is still in primary oocyte. It is still a primary oocyte, but surrounding the granulosa cell increases its number. Also, one more layer of new cells is formed, that is called theca cells. Now theca cells plus granulosa cells along with the primary oocyte, this is called secondary follicle. Remember, this is called secondary follicle. So you have to differentiate primary follicle as well as secondary follicle. No doubt, primary follicle also contains primary oocyte, secondary follicle also contains primary oocyte, but these theca cells are not present in primary follicles. The presence of theca cell indicates that the follicle is in a secondary stage. Okay, next, after that, primary follicle, consider this is granulosa cells, and these are theca cells. So these theca cells, next in the development, they divides into two layers. The theca cells divides into two layers. One is theca externa and other one is theca interna. One is theca externa and other one is theca interna along with the granulosa cells, and also this follicle start developing a cavity. This cavity is called antrum cavity. Now this is called tertiary follicle. So tertiary follicle, how can you identify tertiary follicle? Tertiary follicle contains antrum. Tertiary follicles have two theca layers. One is theca externa, other one is theca interna along with the granulosa cells. Okay, now at this follicle, the prophase 1 restarts. Prophase 1 to metaphase 1, anaphase 1, telophase 1. At the last, it divides into two cells. So in tertiary follicle, this first meiosis this first meiosis completes. Remember, in tertiary follicle, the first meiosis completes and there is a formation of two haploid cells. From primary oocyte, it divides into two haploid cells, but that division is unequal. That division is unequal. As a result, one large haploid cell is called secondary oocyte. One large haploid cell is called secondary oocyte, and this is called polar body. This is called polar body. So see here how this primary oocyte to secondary oocyte is completing. Like that, this primary follicle is also transforms into secondary follicle and then into tertiary follicle. So next, this tertiary follicle converts into one more and last final follicle, that is called Graafian follicle. So Graafian follicle, how can you differentiate Graafian follicle and tertiary follicle? The antrum cavity is completely developed. The antrum cavity is completely developed. This is antrum cavity. All the theca cells, theca externa, theca interna, they are also formed. Granulosa cells divides itself into, this is outer granulosa cells and inner granulosa cells which surrounds these secondary oocyte and polar body. These cells are called cumulus oophorus. Cumulus oophorus. The presence of cumulus oophorus cells and complete formed antrum cavity is Graafian follicle stage. Remember that. Which stage is this? It is Graafian follicle stage. So next, this secondary oocyte and polar body also attains the second meiosis. But did not complete that second meiosis. It arrests at metaphase 2. Okay, so polar body also arrests at metaphase 2 and secondary oocyte also arrests metaphase 2. By that time, there is a release of the secondary oocyte, okay, and later on or before releasing, one more layer which surrounds that is called zona pellucida. So when this zona of pellucida layer forms, after some times, along with the zona of pellucida and cumulus oophorus cells, the secondary oocyte as well as the first polar body releases outside from this ovary. That process is called ovulation. And this secondary oocyte releases up to the ampullary isthmus junction and wait for the sperm to penetrate. When the sperm penetrates that secondary oocytes which is arrested at metaphase 2, this metaphase 2 restarts anaphase 2 and telophase 2. At that time, the secondary oocyte develops into ootid and there is a formation of three polar bodies. The secondary oocyte is also divides unequally, leading to the formation of second polar body and ootid. Remember. And this first polar body also divides and it forms two polar bodies. As a result of which, when oogenesis completes, after fertilization, you will get three polar bodies. three polar bodies and ooted, which soon transfers into zygote. Okay, so sometimes oogenesis is not a complete process because it only completes after fertilization. Okay, it starts from the embryonic period and ends after a fertilization. So it is completely different than spermatogenesis, and there are other differences are also present. Which we will discuss later on. So this is the process of oogenesis as well as the process of spermatogenesis. So spermatogenesis takes place in testis exactly at seminiferous tubules, and oogenesis takes place in ovary exact at follicles. So these development of the follicles are called folliculogenesis. Within that oogenesis take place. So oogenesis starts at the embryonic period and spermatogenesis starts at the puberty phase. Okay, spermatogenesis it completes at puberty age, but oogenesis completes after fertilization. There is no formation of polar bodies in spermatogenesis, but there is formation of three polar bodies in oogenesis. That is a complete process, and partially it is called incompletely process. Okay, the next important thing regarding this is how neat. So this is all theory level concept which I have already explained. So what will be the neat concept of spermatogenesis as well as oogenesis? We will see. Okay, we are back to the process spermatogenesis. Okay, first we will see the development of testis. Simple. Testis start developing at 30 to 50 days in embryonic period of embryonic period. Gonadal ridge like epithelial cells. From that the development of testis take place. Okay, so this GRLE cells, they start producing a duct called Mullerian duct. From this Mullerian duct, the entire male reproductive system develops. Entire male reproductive system develops from this Mullerian duct. In that Mullerian duct, these gonadal ridge like epithelial cells, they produces germinal epithelial cells. Later on, this germinal epithelial cell differentiate into two different cells, differentiates into two different cells. One is in cuboidal shape and other one is in tubular shape. Other one is in tubular shape. So this germinal epithelial cells. Okay, now these are called primordial germinal epithelial cells, which is cuboidal in shape, and the germinal epithelial cell which modifies into a tube like this will become Sertoli cells. Remember, okay. So these primordial germinal epithelial cells, they start dividing mitotically. And produces spermatogonia. Remember, okay. These spermatogonia, they initiate the spermatogenesis process by releasing BMP8B molecules. Okay, so these BMP8B molecules, they are produced by BMP8 genes which are present in spermatogonia. Bone morphogenic protein 8B molecules, they are present in a spermatogonia, and the genes are also called as BMP8B genes. This triggers the further processes of spermatogenesis. Okay, when these spermatogonias are produced, millions together spermatogonias are produced, and these spermatogonia again they divide mitotically, and produce further more spermatogonia. In that there are two types of spermatogonia where there. One is considered as type A spermatogonia and few others were considered as type B spermatogonia. Okay, so these type A spermatogonia and type B spermatogonia were connected with each other. They were connected with each other by cytoplasmic bridges. And these cytoplasmic bridges helps the exchange of transcript products, the product which are formed by transcription, and also transfer some ions from one particular cell to another particular cells. Okay. And these spermatogonia also connected with Sertoli cells. These spermatogonia also connected with the Sertoli cells because Sertoli cell contains carbohydrate receptors, and on the lining of these germ cells, glycosyl transferase molecules were present. Glycosylase transferase molecules, and the Sertoli cell surface contains carbohydrate receptors. They both form a bridge, a connection which holds together. Okay, this called N-cadherin adhesion. N-cadherin adhesion is present between germ cells, not only the spermatogonia, also to the primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, tertiary, and the spermatids and sperms. Remember, okay, so these germ cells entirely they are associated or they are connected with among themselves as well as with the Sertoli cells. Now what happens? This type A, they are called stem cells of spermatogonia because they keep on dividing, and producing further spermatogonia. The type of division in type A is called homogeneous cell division, which take place in a type A spermatogonia. Remember, they will ask. But in a type B spermatogonia, they divides into different cells, and in that some of the cells were attained the growth stage. So type B spermatogonia are called precursors of spermatocytes. They are called precursors of spermatocytes, and these type B spermatogonia, they attain the growth stage and become primary spermatocyte, which is still in diploid in numbers. What happened? So primary spermatocytes. Now this primary spermatocyte, they enters into first meiosis, and forms two haploid cells called, you know that, secondary spermatocyte. But before division, this primary spermatocyte produces some products which later on used in the formation or they help in the formation of acrosome as well as exoneme in the sperms. Okay, remember, so the already preparation is take place in the primary spermatocyte. During the transcription process, they produce some precursors of acrosome formation and exonema formation. Then the primary spermatocyte attains the first meiosis, and they produces two haploid gametes, that is called secondary spermatocytes. These secondary spermatocyte, again they divide into four haploid cells. You know that these four haploid cells are called spermatids. These are called spermatids. This is the second meiosis. And these spermatids, they transfer into sperms. By the process called spermiogenesis. Remember, this entire process I have told you that it take place in 64 days. Okay, the 16 days, remember, the 16 days is for phase of multiplication, multiplication up to the formation of primary spermatocyte. Remember, it takes 16 days. From primary spermatocyte to secondary spermatocyte, 24 days. It takes 24 days. From secondary spermatocyte to spermatids, very few hours. Very few hours, less than 1 day, very few hours. And from spermatids to sperms, that is called spermiogenesis, again 24 days. So total 64 days the spermatogenesis process completes. The spermatogenesis process completes in 64 days. They will ask in exam how many days does it took for the completion of this spermatogenesis. Remember, 16 days from spermatogonia to primary spermatocytes, 24 days primary spermatocyte to secondary spermatocyte. Also they will ask the first meiosis. The first meiosis, of the completion of first meiosis, it takes 24 days. Second meiosis completes in very few hours up to spermatid formation, and spermatid to sperm, it takes again 24 days. Okay, now the important thing is the changes during spermiogenesis. The changes during spermiogenesis. Still this spermatid, secondary spermatocyte and sperms, they are connected with the Sertoli cells. Okay, so they are not attached yet. So for the attachment, this has to be breakdown. The cytoplasmic bridge has to be breakdown. That is take place in the changes in the spermiogenesis. Look at this. This is spermatid and this is sperm. So sole purpose of sperm is to deliver male nucleus inside the egg. Remember, the egg is a stationary gamete. The egg is the stationary gamete in case of human being, and this sperm is a motile gamete in case of human beings. So it has to be transferred. It has to be transferred from non-motile inactive premature spermatids to motile active mature sperm, so that it can swim towards the egg and releases the nucleus. So there are a lot of morphological and physiological changes should take place from spermatid to become sperm. That process is called spermiogenesis. So what happens? This is the nucleus, Golgi bodies, mitochondria, number of mitochondria, and centrioles. So everything which a cell contains is present in this spermatids. So morphologically changes, you can easily observe that this is oval in shape and this is elongated in shape. The first changes starts at Golgi complex. The first changes starts at a Golgi complex. There are the formation of acrosomal vesicles. There are the formation of acrosomal vesicles from these Golgi bodies, and that acrosomal vesicles were developed into acrosomal cap, which contain acrosome fluid. This acrosome contains number of enzymes which actually form the lysosomes of Golgi bodies. So those enzymes are hydrolytic enzymes. This is the first and most important changes in this spermiogenesis is these acrosome is derived from Golgi bodies that contains a hydrolytic enzyme, because egg contains a number of covering outside. So when a sperm want to deliver its nucleus inside the egg cytoplasm, it has to rupture all the outermost layers. For that purpose, these enzymes are filled in acrosome. Those enzymes are called hyaluronidase, sperm lysine, neuraminidase. These all are the enzymes which are present in acrosome. Okay, so the first development starts with the Golgi complex, which converts into acrosome. The second development is take place at a nucleus. Remember, nucleus. It start pushing in one particular direction forward. There is a rotation. There is a rotation of nucleus take place. There is a rotation of nucleus take place. As a result, this rotation, the nucleus which contains histamines. Remember, histone proteins. Histone proteins. Remember these histone proteins, we have studied it during the formation of chromosomes. The negative charge DNA is wrapped around the positive charge histone protein. So these histones in nucleus, these histones are replaced by protamines. These replaced by protamines. So protamines are the proteins that contain 60% of arginine. Remember, 60% of arginine. So there is a transformation or a conversion of histones into protamine, so that it can stops up to the formation of chromosomes, and also it stops the gene transcription. Remember. Okay, the next is changes take place in these centrioles. Okay, the centrioles, they divide into the centrioles, they forms into two particular part. One is a proximal centriole and other one is a distal centriole. The centrioles are connoted or differentiated into two, the proximal centriole as well as the distal centriole. Remember, this proximal centriole is very important, because along with the nucleus, it is the only part which also enters into the cytoplasm of a cell, and this proximal centriole helps in the formation of spindle fibers during a cleavage. So cleavage is a mitotic division that takes place in the zygote. So for that cleavage, mitotic division, they require a spindle fibers. So those spindle fibers are present, or they given by a proximal centriole. So all the centrioles, they are differentiated into proximal as well as distal centrioles. Then next, these mitochondria, they connect all to themselves and forms a ribbon shaped circular mitochondria. So oval shape or bean shape to ribbon shaped mitochondria. This is called Nebenkern. This type of mitochondrial modification is called Nebenkern, and this Nebenkern, this entire cytoplasm is condensed. This entire cytoplasm is condensed and wrapped around the sheet of Nebenkern. A thin sheet of cytoplasm is surrounded by this Nebenkern called menchets. They are called manchets. Okay, from the distal centriole, the help of this nucleus rotation moves to the one particular direction, helps the distal centriole to produce flagellum. Distal centriole to produce a flagellum, remember. So this flagellum is extension part of distal centriole, and in the neck region the proximal centriole is shifted. So overall this nucleus contains 23 number of chromosomes. So this is the changes that take place in spermiogenesis. Okay, so in this process, how this hormonal influences, I have already told you about FSH and LH and testosterone, and how Sertoli cells nourishes the growing germ cells or spermatogenesis process. Remember, these germ cells, the testosterone, FSH, LH, the germ cell does not contain the receptors of all these hormones. Remember, FSH and testosterone, the receptors are found on Sertoli cells. So this testosterone, what it will do, I have told you that it helps in the spermatogenesis process. It helps in the spermatogenesis process means it helps in the transformation of spermatogonia to spermatids, no doubt, but it will not act on those germ cells directly. Rather, testosterone stimulates the Sertoli cells to do that process. Remember, okay, how the testosterone is produced? When luteinizing hormone stimulates the Leydig cells. When luteinizing hormone stimulates the Leydig cells, then the testosterone is attaches the Sertoli cells. They binds the Sertoli cells because the Sertoli cell secretes androgen binding proteins. So when it secretes the androgen binding protein, the testosterone easily comes towards the Sertoli cells and it starts nourishing with the help of Sertoli cell, it nourishes the spermatogonia. So same as the FSH also, these germ cells does not have that receptors. So FSH, they move towards the Sertoli cells, and Sertoli cell produces some factors. That factors helps in the spermiogenesis process, means transformation of these to this processes. Okay, so remember in NEET exams they will ask the days. Okay, they will ask about these genes. They will ask about the type A and type B. Type A is a homogeneous type of division and type B is heterogeneous type of division. They will ask which type of division is processed further in spermatogenesis, heterogeneous type of division. And one primary spermatocyte to secondary, how many days, how many few hours, and how many, and what are the changes which take place in during spermiogenesis. They will ask about hydrolytic enzymes. They will ask about the acrosomes which are derived from the Golgi bodies, and what are the nuclear rotation, and histones, they are converted into protamines, which is a protein which contains 60% of arginines. What is Neberkun and what is Manchets? So these are the questions which they are going to ask. And one more thing, remember, so during 30 to 50 days, the embryonic period, the testes start developing. By the end of third month, the test is completely developed, and by the 7th month of pregnancy, the testes start descending from abdominal cavity to scrotum pouch. Okay, so usually testes are present in the scrotum pouch just because of the proper function, because scrotum provides less 2 to 3 degree less temperature than the abdomen temperature. That is why they descend inside the testis. If they fail to descend, means that person does not produce sperms, does not occupies the spermatogenesis process, and the person become a sterile. Okay, so this is the extra concepts of a spermatogenesis process. Okay, hope you understood the